Can't say it better than that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to hour number 3 of Notre Dame Day 2015. You're catching us at a great time, folks. We just kicked off a 29-hour global celebration of all things Notre Dame. So far, we've shared some incredible stories of Notre Dame students and alumni and parents and friends and fans from around the globe, and we have more to come this hour and the next 59 minutes. My name is Chris Collinsworth, and I'll be one of your hosts this hour. I spent 8 seasons in the National Football League as a wide receiver and now a sportscaster with NBC and a few other people. I'm also the proud dad of former Notre Dame football player Austin Collinsworth and this sophomore over here, Mr. Jack Collinsworth. And Jack, good to be working with you here, partner.
Nice intro, my man. Nice intro. Thank you. Getting better at this.
If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. If you're just now joining the fun, we hope you'll stay tuned for all the outstanding stories that we have this hour. My career has taken me all sorts of different routes and different broadcasts, and most recently the Super Bowl, but I've got to say, I'm more excited to get a chance to work with my partner today than maybe any partner I've ever had. This is a really great experience for me, buddy.
I'm stoked about it, man. It's such a cool hour we have coming up here. You know, we're going to have, first of all, you're going to get to go to Mr. John Bon Jovi a little bit later on, but first we'll kind of explore the world of America's only traditional bell maker who happens to be a Notre Dame student. And then later we'll be chatting with College of Arts and Letters Dean John McGreary. And we have Domer Dad, there it is, John Bon Jovi, man, over the phone. You'll be getting to talk to him. A little jealous of that. So beyond the great stories that we'll be telling today, we're gonna have something really special that we're gonna be doing throughout this broadcast. It's gonna be giving away $1 million. What? $1 million?
$1 million.
You heard it right, man. There it is.
And the coolest part about the whole thing is that our viewers have total control over where that money is going to be distributed. Each time you log on to NotreDame.ndu.edu and donate $10 or more, you'll be given 5 votes. The total votes cast during our Notre Dame Day broadcast for student clubs, resident halls, the academy, and so forth will determine what percentage of the $1 million they're going to receive. So that means that your $10 of a gift could possibly end up having an impact totaling $100 or more.
There it is. So the more votes you cast for your favorite academic unit, hall, team, or other organization during Notre Dame Day, the higher the percentage of $1 million that they will receive.
You got it, Jack. So let's take a moment to not only encourage folks to get online and vote, but to give a shout out to those of you who have already done so. So let's get started with these incredible stories that we have on the docket for you this hour. Right now, let's go out to campus with Notre Dame Day reporter Justine Ward, who is joined by one of the students who makes Notre Dame so unique. Where are you this time, Justine?
Hey, that's right, guys. We are in Riley Hall with Ben Sunderland. He's actually a graduate student in what he likes to call the Bel Air. It's got a nice ring to it, no pun intended. Yeah. And I understand you're the only traditional bell maker in the U.S.
Yeah, I am. As far as I know, there are other bell makers in the United States, but they utilize modern technologies and synthetic materials. I pride myself on a traditional craft, and that includes the use of loam. That's an actual mix of sand, clay, horse dung, and hair, among some other things. And that material is used in order to construct molds with profiles or sweeps, and that's how it's been done for about 800 years. So I'm the only one in the United States that makes bells in that method, yes.
Pretty unique. How do you get into something like this, or how did you find your pathway into doing this?
Yeah, I actually discovered bell making in a ceramics class, oddly enough. I am an art student, and I'm here for my MFA, and I started making bells in a ceramics class, and I really liked the way that they rung, the way they sounded, or as a bell maker might say, tintinnabulate. And then ever since then, I started to work in the foundry and try to cast them in bronze. And it's at that point that I started to understand a deeper meaning of the craft and where these things are made, how they're made. And then I started to write research and travel grants to France and England and the Netherlands and all over Europe in order to learn this craft to bring it back to the United States.
And it's pretty complicated.
It is pretty complicated. There's a lot that can go wrong, and it has for a while trying to learn this craft. But I'm at a point now where I can successfully work the material, and I understand the sort of complexities of the profile and what that means in order for the tonal structure. And I have been working with a gentleman in Indianapolis named J.J. Smith. He owns his own business, and we have been sort of developing a casting program to try to get it out in the American landscape. So it's been a pretty exciting journey thus far.
And I hear you're actually gonna ring one of the bells for us.
Yes, I am. Here, and this is a bell that this is the first bell that I made in what you might say is the traditional method or an English method. So we can listen to that now.
It's very pretty.
So it has a ring to it. Yeah.
So how long does it take to make a bell like that?
Well, that bell is molded in a slightly different way. There are two different traditional techniques. One is a continental method and the other is an English method. This was made in the English method, which means that both sections of the mold, the core and the cope, were made independently and then pieced together. It took me a while to make that bell because I had to pretty much build all of my tooling and equipment in order to get it to that process. And it's also a rather interesting bell in that it is the first bell that was molded and cast in loam since probably about the middle of the 20th century. Wow. And it also is the first bell that was made in that fashion that also has been tuned to a 5-partial international standard, which that means that is the first bell that has ever been made in that method and tuned to those standards in the United States.
Pretty cool stuff, Ben.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's awesome to know. This is all some of the stuff going on here on campus at Notre Dame, and we'll be right back after this.
My name is Chris Collinsworth, and the Dean of the College of Arts and Letters and Notre Dame alum, John McGreevy, joins me now in the studio. And John, thanks so much. Tell me a little bit about the College of Arts and Letters. You guys have taken over the universe. This is the biggest college by far. It's the oldest and largest. 500 faculty, 3,000 undergrads, 1,000 graduate students, and 20 academic departments, and they all answer to you.
I'm not sure they all actually answer to me, but that is the College of Arts and Letters. You're very kind to say that.
Give us a little background on this college and what it all encompasses.
So, Arts and Letters, as you said, is the oldest and largest college in the university. It was started right when the university was started, and now composes 20 different departments. And those are all the departments in the social sciences, so econ, political science, and soc. In the humanities, history and English, philosophy and theology and classics and the languages. And in the arts, and I think your son is one of our arts majors.
Look out.
Film, television, theater, and art and music.
And you must have some students that have graduated from here that are doing incredible things around the world.
You know, we're lucky. I always feel we're so privileged to work with these students now. And really, they go into everything you can imagine. That's a nice thing about Arts and Letters is the flexibility of the degree. And so we've got kids who go work for big corporations like Google and Disney and Procter & Gamble. We've got kids who go into elite graduate schools and professional schools, who go to Wall Street, and also students who do full-time service in the Peace Corps and ACE, our own teacher service program here at Notre Dame. So we really see the flexibility of the degree as something exciting, and it's an investment. You know, the first job isn't the most important job you get. It's the degree for a lifetime.
Yeah, that football job of mine didn't mean anything at all to me. I didn't mean a thing. There's a new major coming along, right? You teaming up with the science department, the neuroscience major, is that right?
Yeah, it's brand new this year, and we've been kind of blown away by how many students are interested in it. You know, Notre Dame has never had a neuroscience major.
Now, tell everybody what that is.
So, you know, neuroscience is kind of at the intersection of psychology and biology. And you're interested in how the brain works and how the brain is connected to the body. And we didn't have neuroscience at Notre Dame, in part because we didn't have a medical school. But Greg Crawford, who's the Dean of Science, and myself got together and said, let's create a major that takes some classes from psychology, some classes from biology, and kids can put those together. And we're kind of stunned. In a year, we've got over 100 kids doing it. So there was a real demand out there for for students who maybe are thinking about medical school, or maybe they're thinking about going into the world of either psychology or big science.
You've had some students be awarded some major awards. I understand a Rhodes Scholar this year as well.
Yeah, we're very proud of that. Alex Kocha won a Rhodes Scholar this year.
A couple of Fulbright Award winners as well.
Top 10 in the country in Fulbright.
That's they must have the greatest department head of all time. I mean, there's truly genius at the top of this.
I mean, certainly one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
Digger claims the title on top,
right,
but you know, he said just underneath there, right?
I'm just happy to be in the same sentence as Digger Phelps.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
You know, if you want to get one of these prestigious national fellowships after college, the things you've got to do are you've got to do really well in your classes, but there are a lot of kids who do well in your classes. You want to have a study abroad experience. You want to do research in that experience, and you want to do a senior thesis. And it's that combination of research and a senior thesis, the study abroad experience, and then doing well in your coursework that kind of gets you in the door for those fellowships. And listen, all the colleges at Notre Dame do that well. I don't want to put arts and letters above anybody else, but we think we're doing that pretty well right now. Now, we want to do it better. You know, we're in the top 10 in Fulbrights. We're not number 1. We won a Rhodes this year, but we would like to win more. But I do think it's that combination of research, classroom work, and then study abroad experience that really is the key.
Well, everybody watching this program wants Notre Dame to be the best at everything. Right. And if you want to be the best, sometimes you have to upgrade the facilities a little bit. I understand we have at least one project underway. It's
really exciting. Two really big projects for Arts and Letters. So one is, and you probably know about this, the Campus Crossroads project, which is going around the football stadium.
Absolutely.
Which is going to be huge for the College of Arts and Letters. It's going to be a new home for our departments of psychology and anthropology, which have been scattered in 7 different departments before. Now those faculty and undergraduates and graduate students will be together. And then the south building around the stadium will be music. And so for the first time since the 19th century, we're going to have a new building for our music and sacred music programs. And this April, we're going to break ground on a new building for all of our social science departments, linking to the International Institutes in the new global school. That's going to be called Nanovic Hall, Jenkins Hall, two buildings in one. And that's going to be the first time that our social science departments, econ, political science, and sociology, have been together and will have the chance to collaborate in a way they never have had before.
Well, John, everybody knows around here what a special job you do, and we're all blessed to have you here managing the biggest college in all of Notre Dame. You impact more of the students than anybody, and we're really proud of everything you've done.
I'm very happy to be here. I feel very lucky to be here. Very, very happy to have a Collinsworth in my college. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more.
This is the equal sign. You use it in a equation. It means that it's what it gets.
It's no secret that in America, our students are lagging behind other countries in math. The problem isn't that our students aren't working hard enough or that our teachers aren't dedicated enough. They are. I believe the problem starts with basic arithmetic, where students develop a misunderstanding of the equal sign.
At the University of Notre Dame, psychology professor Nicole McNeil has developed an innovative series of educational lessons and activities that change the way children learn the concept of the equal sign.
So one of the techniques we like to use is called concreteness fading. We start with...
Increasingly, math really matters for our nation in a globally competitive world. Professor McNeil's research has given us an exciting new direction for how we teach mathematics to our nation's young students. This holds great promise for their success in school and in life.
With support from the U.S. Department of Education and in collaboration with Notre Dame's Alliance for Catholic Education, Dr. McNeil's program has been implemented in schools across the country.
Working with ACE has been incredible. Through their dedication in serving under-resourced schools, they're helping to improve math education for the students who need it most.
To have the opportunity to work with Nicole and see her work come to my classroom, to see her research carried out, it's brought a new level of academic achievement and excellence to our schools.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for equal education.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day coverage. Earlier in the show, we were able to join the shirt committee as they revealed the 2015 design outside of the bookstore. Now, this is the shirt's 26th year in existence, and believe it or not, it started as a small thing that was able to unite football fans while raising money for a festival on campus. The shirt has since become an annual event at the university and raises more than $775,000 per year for charity. In fact, last year, a record-breaking 165,000 shirts were sold. That's pretty crazy stuff. Now we're joined in the studio by Abby and Camden, two representatives of the shirt committee. Now, first of all, give us a little background information on you guys. So majors, where you guys live, and that kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah. I'm Abby Dankoff. I'm a junior graphic design major. I live in Lewis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm Camden Hill. I am a junior computer science major, and I live in Keogh Hall.
Okay, we were talking some about, the committee and how they decide who's going to be on. Just give us some feel of how this committee comes together that decides on the shirt.
Sure, yeah. So we start actually in November picking the committee members, and we work until now, until it's unveiled. So we usually have a few designers who are actually the masterminds behind what you see. We also have people dedicated to marketing, the unveiling, public relations, alumni relations. There's a lot that goes into it that people don't really realize lasts the whole year.
Yeah. So you guys are wearing the shirts right now, Cam. To give us some feel, what are what's this year's design all about? Looks good, man.
Sure. So this year we tried to incorporate the modern with the history that really is Notre Dame football. So you see we have the vintage logo for the helmet paired with a modern helmet, and on the back we have a football player doing what they do best, scoring touchdowns. And we have some design elements that are really critical with the Notre Dame brands. We have shamrocks. They're actually vintage shamrocks. We have a banner that says University of Notre Dame. Here come the Irish, a traditional Notre Dame phrase. And we have the year below.
So there's 10 of you or so on this committee. So now if they're saying, listen, we got to move the helmet 2 inches this way, is this a fight? What's this committee like?
It's pretty collaborative, yeah. So our designers work, but everybody has a say in what comes out as the final product. The designers definitely know a vision. They have what they want to see, but if anybody has a comment, it's definitely welcome. It's definitely heard.
Yeah, and a lot of the time it is kind of that way. There's no animosity, but some people will think make this gold, while some people think it will look better white.
It's a big fight come color decision time.
Yeah, as we take a look at it earlier when you guys had the announcement of it, there's always kind of a variation and some debate over what color the shirt should be. Why green this year?
Why green this year? So, I mean, it's traditional, it's Notre Dame. We're just coming off a blue shirt, and that doesn't necessarily mean we go with green, but this year it's what the committee felt was right. We're using the same material as last year, which is a nice 40-60 blend, which we got really good feedback about. Just tried it in a green.
I like it. The opposing helmets going opposite ways. Is that your idea there, Camden?
I think it was a collective decision by the committee. Yeah.
I like it, man. Keeping the tradition alive here with the shirts. They look good as always. We're going to take a break now, and we'll be back with more Indy Day coverage right after this.
My son Marlon is 5 years old. He didn't have to live through Hurricane Katrina. He didn't have to see his entire city flooded. He didn't have to leave his home and wonder if he'd ever return. He didn't have to watch bodies floating and wondering if there were people we knew. He didn't have to experience what I did. And my hope is that he never will.
Through the development of advanced storm surge modeling, Notre Dame professor Johannes Westerink is helping guide the Army Corps of Engineers in the reconstruction of the New Orleans hurricane protection system.
Storm surge is the rising water that's driven in by a hurricane's winds and waves. During Hurricane Katrina, an unprecedented level of storm surge developed, and it simply overwhelmed the levees. At Notre Dame, we're able to pinpoint exactly what went wrong during Katrina and also what can go wrong during hundreds of future storms.
Utilizing the results from Dr. Westerink's lab, the Corps of Engineers has redesigned the levee and gate closure systems that protect Greater New Orleans.
Dr. Westering has been a vital source to rebuilding of New Orleans, not only for the short term, but the long term. His contributions have been absolutely astounding.
What inspires me is a sense of discovery, a sense of improving technologies, and ultimately helping people live better and safer lives.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to protect my city.
We are the Fighting Irish.
The world needs a university that educates men and women who accept their responsibility to serve others. We will strive to build a community where education, inquiry, and faith combine to respond to the demands of justice. This is our goal. Let no one ever say that we dreamed too small.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jack Collinsworth. We are in hour 3 of Notre Dame Day, and I'm joined here in studio by 4 students from the College of Engineering's ND Seed program. Excuse me, 3 students. I'm the 4th. Now, I'm just going to go down the line and let you guys introduce yourselves real quick.
I'm Olivia August. I'm a sophomore environmental engineer.
I'm Libby Byrne, and I'm a senior civil engineering.
I'm Roshan Sebastian. I'm a junior civil engineering.
Okay. I gotcha. So the ND Seed, I know it's an acronym. What exactly does that stand for?
So NDC stands for Notre Dame Students Empowering through Engineering Development. So what that really means is we use our engineering skills to kind of go out there and do something with them. So that for us is building bridges in rural Nicaragua. We are led by a faculty advisor, Dr. KC, Dr. Tracy Cajusi-Correa, and we work with her throughout the year and fundraise, construct, and design a bridge.
And so you literally build bridges in rural areas of Central American countries. That's kind of the main purpose, yeah?
So we can't really take all the credit for the building of the bridges. We're kind of see ourselves as engineering consultants for communities that are in need. So we've actually built, NDC as a team has built 6 bridges in 6 years. First 2 were in Honduras and Guatemala, and this year we're building in Nicaragua, southern Nicaragua, in a community called Amayito.
Okay, so what's the process that leads, into going somewhere like Nicaragua and building these bridges? What's that like?
Yeah, so during our fall break, we go down to Nicaragua for a site surveying trip, and that's really important because we meet with the community and we go over the process for building the bridge and constructing. We do the site surveying, and then throughout the year we're working on the design, the construction planning with our advisor and with our NGO that we work with, Bridges to Prosperity. And then during the summer we go down there and we actually construct the bridge with the community.
So how long does constructing one of these things actually take?
So it kind of depends on how things go. Not everything goes as planned, obviously, but it's usually an 8-week process. Most of the team goes down right after kind of finals, so that in May, and then 8 weeks ends in around July. So that's the process. We try to, at the end, kind of figure out a place to build next year's bridge. So.
Yeah. How about some of the practical considerations? What do you use their water? Where do you shower? How is all that?
Yeah, so that's the exciting part of the trip. We stay in the community. We live with the people that are helping us to build the bridge. And this year we're planning on staying in the home of the pastor and anticipating bucket showers. In terms of drinking water, we can't drink the water from the river, and we'll probably have to do bottled water. But the women that we're going to be living with are going to cook for us, and it's really all about us living there and being with them throughout the whole process.
That's fantastic. Thank you guys so much for being with us, doing some really cool stuff out there. So we're going to turn it over now, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Notre Dame coverage right after this.
An Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
We are the University of Notre Dame.
Having served in the military for 32 years, I know that technological progress poses opportunities and challenges. Enhanced soldiers, ever-present surveillance, autonomous weapon systems. The question most often asked about these advancements is, can we? But an equally important question is, should we?
Robert Latiff is a retired Air Force Major General, a former weapons developer, and a professor teaching weapons ethics at the University of Notre Dame's Riley Center for Science, Technology, and Values.
There should probably be. One of the goals of our work here at Notre Dame is to bring the moral and ethical implications of weapons technology to the forefront of our national dialogue, not only in Washington among our current leaders, but also in the classroom where we are educating future leaders.
It's been really great having a diverse class with peace studies majors and ROTC students and poli-sci majors, because consequences of these weapons technologies that I haven't thought about, they have, and it's really deepened our discussions in the classroom.
Now in its 28th year, Notre Dame's Riley Center is a recognized leader in promoting and examining the advancement of science and technology in the pursuit of the common good.
Notre Dame has been a vital collaborator with the Navy as we address some of the ethical challenges of emerging military technologies. Their scholars, including General Latiff, are providing a unique voice in this important new field.
What I love about teaching at Notre Dame is that our students, who come from all walks of life, share the university's mission to be a force for good in the world, and I am honored to help them do that.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for the ethical use of technology.
We are the Fighting Irish.
When I was 9 years old, political violence forced my family to flee Colombia. We left behind everything we had and everyone we knew.
Gracias porque tú eres un Dios misericordioso y siempre nos has protegido.
My father was an engineer, but in America, he had to work a minimum wage job. Amen. No one in my family spoke English. All of our clothes and our car came from local charities. Without the goodwill of others, we would not have been able to get through those tough times. And that's something I've never forgotten.
Luis Llanos is a mechanical engineering major at Notre Dame and a member of NDSEED, a chapter of Bridges to Prosperity, a nonprofit organization that builds bridges in impoverished areas.
In lots of rural communities, rivers rise and flood and isolate people for weeks at a time. Children can't get to school, and families can't get the medical care they need.
Since 2008, NDSEED has built bridges in Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Notre Dame undergraduates fundraise the cost of the entire project, as well as lead the design and 6 to 8 week construction process.
Going down there and having something start up as an idea, as a design, and then being able to work to something so concrete was so satisfying for me.
It's not just 7 students going down to a community to build a bridge for them. They're building a bridge with them.
El puente es una gran cosa. Ahora pues pueden mis hijos cruzar sin temor que el río se me lo vaya a arrastrar.
When people ask me what I am most proud of in my life, I can always take out my phone and show them a picture of the bridge. It taught me that I don't have to wait to graduate to make a real difference in people's lives.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to build bridges.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Well, you can't be here with Digger Phelps and not talk a little basketball before this night's all said and done. So I know you're over watching some of the bookstore basketball over there, but what a run this year by Notre Dame, going through, winning the ACC championship.
Yeah.
They were spectacular, played so hard and right down to the wire there against Kentucky.
We got to credit Mike Bray because he just had these guys focused all year, and they never stumbled when they needed to stumble, so to speak. Yeah, you had some losses, but nothing serious to where you couldn't refire and get it going. They win the ACC conference tournament by knocking off Carolina in that championship game, but beating Duke in the semis. What was amazing to me all year was watching Pat Connaughton, a major league pitcher, and Jerrion Grant in his 5th year. Those two guys are on a mission to keep winning and see what we can do. Now, they knocked off Duke in the semifinals of the ACC tournament. And then, of course, they make the run to get to where they got to play Kentucky in the final 8 and lose a tough game to Kentucky.
If that shot would have gone in,
Yeah.
that baseline
they're back
runner
to the
down
Final
the
Four.
shot.
Yeah.
I was thinking as he was breaking down the boundary
Jerry Grant.
if Grant had had one pick down there, that one of those 7-footers would have run him straight over, and they would have been at the free throw line. But the shot was that close.
Well, on the other side of it, okay, Kentucky gets back to the Final Four, and everybody thinks they're going to win it, including me. But what's amazing about Coach K and Duke, he started 3 freshmen. Tyus Jones, a point guard. Winslow, 6'7" on the wing. Okafor, the big guy in the paint. He knew once those guys played 20 games, you're no longer freshmen.
Right.
You get it going. And when they lost to Duke, I'll never forget watching Notre Dame playing Duke, and Duke lost that game in the semifinals. Coach K calls timeout. It's 4-2, Chris. He called timeout. Why? He smelled the rat. Because Notre Dame had a 20-point lead against Miami in the quarterfinals, go down 2 in the second half, and Duke already beat Notre Dame about 3 weeks before by 30. So the Duke players, we'll be fine. Really. Coach K called timeout when it was 4-2. It's 15-5 Notre Dame. Coach K sits down on his bench, and I could read his lips. They don't want to play tonight. But what happened was, as you saw, they get to the first, second rounds, win the whole thing in Texas, down in Houston to get to the Final Four and take care of business. And what was it again? Tyus Jones against Wisconsin. Back December 3rd when they played the ACC Big Ten Challenge at Wisconsin with the 4 starters back, Frank Kaminsky and Bo Ryan coaching that team. 4 starters back. Tyus Jones scored 22, and Duke won that game by 10. Well, in the first half, he has 5 points in this game for the championship. Second half, he scores 19, but it was the other guard, Allen, the freshman, who scored 8 straight points and put Duke in that position to take the lead. They never looked back. And it was Allen, as well as what went on with Tyus Jones, 23 and 16, 49 points, 39 points to win that championship. And what's been amazing, Chris, the last 4 years, we'll make it 5. Connecticut wins it, Kemba Walker, guard. Okay, Anthony Davis, Kentucky, year 2, 6'10", the big guys. Then what? We go to Peyton Siva in Louisville. Last year, Shabazz Napier in Connecticut. This year, Tyus Jones in Duke. It's been the guards in the second half that have won national championships the last 4 out of 5 years. It's been an amazing run.
Control the game. I can only imagine. I know how emotional it was for me watching Notre Dame in the tournament and the great run that they were on. As a former coach, as you're sitting there watching that, can you take yourself out of it emotionally and be the commentator that's supposed to be so neutral?
You know that too. You played the game and you know what it's like to be there on the sidelines and doing everything you're saying, like, especially like the Super Bowl, and we're looking at that last play. I said, they lose by 2 and Grant goes down on the left side and can't get the shot to go in. But then all of a sudden you look at what Kentucky did to you all year. Calipari is a master when it comes to game psychology and getting teams ready. So when you look at the stats at the end of the game, Connaughton, Grant, and Jackson, the 3 amigos, go 8 for 31 in the field. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Then all of a sudden, they go 3 for 11 shooting threes. They don't score the last 2 minutes and 33 seconds. And on the other side, the second half, Kentucky, 15 for 20, 75% in the second half. That's why Notre Dame lost. I understand. Living on a prayer. I'm living on a prayer. I'm living on a prayer. What's that in my head, Chris? I'm living on a prayer.
We're living on a dream right now because we have John Bon Jovi joining us, but he is just, in some ways, just like me because he's nothing more than a Notre Dame dad now. We've got Jesse Bon Jovi here on the Notre Dame football team. John, how are you? Chris Collinsworth, Digger Phelps.
Hi, guys. It's great to speak with you. I'm floating on the clouds, man. You know, I get to walk on that campus as a proud pop. What's better than that?
It's so cool. Talk about the day. I think I actually saw you on the sideline of a New York Giants game when you and Jesse were coming here for a recruiting trip and to see just how well you liked it. And take us to that moment, though, when, as a family, you knew that Jesse was going to be coming to Notre Dame.
We had to wait because the letter showed up on the, that day from the mailman, and you're dying to tear it open because, as you know, as a pop, you get accepted and you get rejected. And he was our second child to go through this process. And that day, I wanted to steam that thing open and then tape it shut again, but my wife, of course, wouldn't let me touch it. Anyhow, I sobbed because that was it was our hope was Notre Dame, and just all the history, and he worked so hard academically and did the best he could on the field to get this shot to even be a walk-on. But, you know, the history is so rich, and we just know what it's done for him and for our family.
When you look at this whole process, and let's go back, because I've seen you on the sidelines before games talking to some guy named David Robinson, who's about 6'10", whose son Corey's a great receiver. Now, do you pick his brain about slam dunks, or does he pick your brain about music?
I remember seeing him way back on the Dream Team 20-plus years ago. But, you know, I've been fortunate enough, like with Chris, to get to know David as well. In fact, I saw him last weekend at the spring game, and we were at my son's apartment, you know, so Chris can relate to this. In fact, his younger son was here, too. But we were all sitting there, and you know, David, he's a gentleman's gentleman, and the Admirals, you know, we're speaking on a different level now, because when he used to come to Bon Jovi shows 20 years ago, he was coming as a rock and roll fan that played basketball. And now we're, again, like I say, we're sitting there just talking about how dirty our kids' apartments are and how hard they have to work every week.
Well, Jack told me that you popped up at one point and made everybody cheeseburgers, so you're just like the rest of us.
That's right. I was cooking Jack cheeseburgers just last Saturday, as a matter of fact. Yes, I was. And, you know, it was great. It was just great to be around the guys. It's early to see what the team is going to be, but we've got some depth, and there sure is going to be a competition at quarterback. And, you know, fingers crossed we just get last year behind us and everything works out.
How's Jesse doing? I know he went through the knee injury. How's he feeling now?
He's good. I think he's 100%. That was tough. You know, you got that call from Chad Klunder, and it wasn't a happy phone call I heard, and I thought, oh, what is it? And he said the ACL was shot. So it was a long year, but that's okay. It was more time in the team, you know, with the team, for him to develop as a player on that level, to study film, to get ready for even the opportunity to practice with that football team. So it's okay, but he's 100% now. Thanks, Chris. He's good.
What do you look for when, let's say, football's over, and here you are as a proud dad, knowing you got a son at Notre Dame, and at the same time, it's the Notre Dame network around the world once you leave here, and making change and putting people in the right position in the game of life that can't have the same opportunities. What do you look for in his life after Notre Dame football, as well as once he gets his degree from here?
Much more important that he comes out of there with the diploma. As a matter of fact, and in truth, I mean, you know, he's lucky to be there. And all we really care about is the academics and then the experience, because in truth, when he walks into a job interview and says, I graduated from the University of Notre Dame, people are going to stand up and take notes. And he's working very hard on his academics, and I know how grueling a schedule that is. And so for us, that's the most important aspect of this whole experience, is that he's going to come out of there not only with the history, but with the diploma.
Well, I understand that I thought I had the bug pretty bad until I heard that at one of your latest concerts, there was a leprechaun on your guitar. Any truth to that?
Oh, yeah. I bought one of those great little chrome. Now, you got to understand, Chris, this same guitar, this guitar is so precious to me. It's the only one that I play in any show ever since, 23 years now. And it's treated like gold. I mean, if I pass, God forbid, that's going to be the one in the case. And it has now the leprechaun on it, and no one would ever think of touching it. It's not interchangeable. That's there now for the rest of the days.
Well, it's so great to have you as part of our family. I joined Digger's family. You joined our family now, and we are very, very proud to have Dorothea and all you guys as a part of the Notre Dame family.
Thank you, my brother. All right, man. Well, it was great, and I'm really, really happy to have spoken to you guys and proud to be a part of the Irish. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, let's go over to Jack.
All right, Dan. I'm glad you and Bon Jovi could fill some time while we got the superstars set up here. We have a little game of Heads Up, a game that I've never really understood, but my mom loves. Let's introduce the guys. We have our Dylan Hall, Big Red, represented right here. We have Kavanaugh, Lions, and alumni. Lions is gonna kick us off. Let's get this thing up and going. What do you say? All right.
Yeah, go Lions! Dorm behind the dome. Stadium.
Name of it. Pass. They're 25 cents in the huddle. after midnight.
Quarter Dogs?
Yep. Women's basketball coach. Pass. Harder. The quad we live on.
South Quad?
Yep. West Quad Women's Dorm, Shamrocks.
McGlynn?
Yep. North Quad Men's Dorm, Mooses.
Zom?
Yeah. That's when your dorm wins some kind of Hall of the Year, and you get to have a special
Dome dance?
Yep. Grocery store here in Fortune.
Huddle?
All right, is that good? I don't know. That looked good. That looked good. Clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up. I mean, we got to call in the boys from Dillon Hall. I think. Let's get a little bit of a mix here. Show them how it's done here, boys.
Go alumni.
Where all the alumni stay when they come football weekend.
Morris Inn.
Yep. Pass. Who plays at the football games? Instruments.
Drumline.
No.
Drum corps. Marching band.
Yes. Down. Up. Like pass. No. Okay. Biggest place that you can study here.
Hesburgh Library.
Yep. Down. Go up. There you go. Where do we eat usually?
South Dining Hall.
Yep. Down. Who founded the university?
Father Soren.
Yep. Up. It's a donut place. Like Dunkin' Donut, I don't know.
I like where your head was at. It was a valiant effort. Let's get Kavanaugh step on up. All right, let's do it. High five it out, man. There we go.
That's a cool outfit.
Thank you. Pay attention. Okay, yeah. Okay, he just passed away. Father Hesburgh. She's on the basketball team. Pass. Just pass. No? Okay. Where we live, the general area, not south. North Quad. Yeah. It's like really crappy. It's like, First weekend of the year. First weekend of the year. It's, like a form of cheering before football games. Domerfest. No, before football games. Just pass. Okay. They just unveiled it today. The shirt. Yeah. Pass. The hall on campus that all the girls live in who fight a lot. What? I can't say that. The newest dorm on campus. McGlynn? Nope, newer. By the books. Ryan Hall. He wrote The Notebook. Nicholas Sparks. Pass. It's like really funny. A dorm puts it on. It's a show. Keenan Review. Yeah.
Yes.
Nicely done. We're going to have Kavanaugh pass on Jerome Bettis. Oh my gosh, Jerome Bettis, legend. For this, okay, all right, we're on to alumni. Let's get it.
The worst dining hall.
North Dining Hall.
Founded in 1921.
Mendoza School of Business.
Guys who march in front of the band, wear kilts.
Irish Guard.
Yep. Blank and Kelly graduated from this school. Alum who wants to be a millionaire.
Oh, Regis Philbin.
Football coach.
Brian Kelly.
Man just retired, police officer.
Sergeant McCarthy.
Mascot is the Foxes.
Oh, Pangborn Hall.
Pass. Not St. Joseph's Lake, the other one.
St. Mary's Lake.
Yep. St. Ed's signature dance on water.
Yacht dance.
Yep. Win 1-4.
What?
Win 1-4.
The Gipper.
Yep. Who was the coach?
New Rockney.
That was it, but
Woo! Let's go,
We got to get the official results. I heard we had a tie with the girls, which nobody likes a tie. It just feels like alumni had to take home for the boys. Alumni, champions, although it does hurt me to say, my Dillon boys. We're going to throw it back up now to my pops and Digger Phelps.
Here with one of the legends of Notre Dame, Mr. Joe Theismann. And Joe, going back when in '68, when you recruited by Ara Parseghian and Notre Dame football, you had a meeting with Roger Valdesari because your real name was Theismann. You were from New Jersey. In that meeting, something came out where your name was changed by Roger Valdesari from Theismann to Theismann. Can you get into that detail, please?
Sure, Digger, and it's great to be with you guys. Thank you. It's in early '68, before we got started. Actually, it was in '68 that I think Roger was standing at spring practice one day, and someone from a Chicago newspaper just walked up to him watching us practice, and he said, hey, is that Theismann like in Heisman? And Roger sort of put it away. And in the beginning of my senior year, he called me in the office and he said, Joe, how do you pronounce your last name? I said, it's Theismann. He said, no, it's not. It's Theismann. I said, no, it's not. It's Theismann. He said, no, really, it's Theismann. I said, well, give me the phone. So I pick up the phone. I call my dad back home. And I get my dad on the phone. I said, hey, Pop, I got a question for you. He said, hey, fire away, Joe. I said, Dad, tell me, how do you pronounce our last name? And there's like this pregnant pause on the phone. And my dad goes, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. But tell me how you pronounce our last name. I'll explain it later. So he said it was Theismann. I hung the phone up. I turned to Roger. I said, Rog, look, I've just confirmed the fact my last name is Theismann with my father. So it's Theismann. He said, Joe, I want to tell you something. There's a trophy out there called the Heisman Trophy. Goes to the best college football player in the country. We think you have a chance to win that trophy, but we're not just going to count on your athletic ability. Heck no. He said, we're not even going to count on the reputation of the University of Notre Dame, but we think by just simply changing the pronunciation of your last name from Theismann to Theismann to rhyme with Heisman, we can get you that trophy. And that's how I became Joe Theismann. And it was funny, about 5 years after that, I was having dinner with my mom and dad, and we were talking about a lot of things. And I turned to my dad over the dinner table. He said, Pop, I got a question for you. He said, fire away, Joe. I said, Dad, tell me, how do you pronounce our last name? He said, it's Theismann. Why you ask? So, Roger changed the entire family.
You changed this community around here, my man.
Well, I'll tell you, it was, I think we can look back at different aspects and stages of our life. And for me, the University of Notre Dame, as I get older now, I look back at those years in '67 to '70 when I was at the university and graduating in '71. And just how valuable that time was to me, socially, socioeconomically, physiologically, psychologically. I mean, growing up, one of my roommates, we'd wander over to the Steppen Center and go to a concert. And one night, I think the first concert I ever went to was Neil Diamond. And we were coming back, and it's funny, I don't know why I remember this, but we were coming back, and Steve had a little too much libation, and he decided that he was going to try and tackle a Mack truck in the middle of the road. And I managed to talk him off the road as the truck went by, and I think of a life saved in that instance. But the relationships that we had, the opportunity to play for Ara Parseghian, the friendships that you made, even to this day, I see so many friends. I just saw Tommy Gatewood not too long ago, who I hadn't seen in a number of years, and I still think of Billy Bars and all those guys that I had a chance to be very, very lucky to be part of a football team with.
Joe, you've seen a lot of football in your day. You even returned punts, did so many different things. You get a chance to watch this Notre Dame football team as they are now. They're getting a lot of people back, a lot of people healthy, 2 quarterbacks. Your thoughts on the decision of what to do with the quarterbacks this year. Do you go ahead and play them like they did in the LSU bowl game, where you say, hey, let's take the best of both of them here, or do you need to pick a starter?
Well, I think, Chris, if you take a look at what Brian's history has been with Tommy Rees and Everett going back 4 years now almost, you know, Tommy came in the year that Notre Dame went to the national championship game a few years ago against Alabama. Tommy really came in relief in about, I think, 3 football games and performed very well. What we saw against LSU was a combination of 2 extremely talented young men. One hadn't had much experience, another one that had experience but was really coming back after a year being gone. And I told Everett this. I was out a couple weeks ago before the spring game, and I had a chance to visit. I said, you know, I'm very proud of you. A lot of people would have become spiteful, prideful, and said, look, and they would have blamed it on the university, but you were a very accountable young man. You know what you did, and you came back to the University of Notre Dame. And I think, to me, that speaks very highly of him as a person. Malik is he's got the biggest legs I've ever seen on a other than when I wander through the forest. It's the only time you see legs about as big as Malik's. I mean, he's just an incredible athlete. But Chris, to answer your question, I really think that Brian will probably utilize the skills and talents of both. College football today is different. You know, you cover the pros, and I love listening to you. And the thing to me is I think you have to do what you feel like is going to give your team the best chance to win. I think if one of them goes on a tear and plays well, I don't think Brian will make switches. But as long as he has the availability of Malik and Everett, I see him possibly being in a role where they're going to be able to switch. Now, one of the guys may just rise to the top. I know Malik has basically said, hey, I want to be the guy. I know Everett's coming back because he wants to be the guy, which when you have 2 of them this talented, and you've got 9 starters coming back on offense, 10 on defense, and we go through what we went through last year, having some guys miss some time, you have to be really excited about what Notre Dame football is going to look like.
Hey, Joe, quickly, before we wrap this. 1925, Newt Rockne won against Stanford in the Rose Bowl to win a national championship. 1925. Notre Dame didn't go to a bowl again to 1970, where they lost to Texas.
Right.
But 1971, Texas had won 30 straight. You're the quarterback for era. You end that streak. We become 22, or number 2 in the country. Nebraska becomes number 1, but Texas falls off. That was the first win in 41 years in a bowl. What was that like, winning that game against Texas in that Cotton Bowl?
Well, you know, I don't think many of us realized it had been that long since we had been to a bowl game. I knew we didn't go in a long time. I mean, you know, some guys were talking, hey, it's been 50, 60 years. I'm thinking, are you taking any math classes or what? But it was great to have the opportunity to be able to compete in one. And we wanted to play Texas. We wanted the shot at the national championship. That was, you know, Era had always talked to us about being the best. You go back in 66 when we won the championship, and then I went right after that, I went to college. And you look at the teams and where they were ranked when we were there. We were very good, and we wanted to compare ourselves against the best. And Era was wonderful. He gave us an opportunity to choose where we want to go. It wasn't like Coach walked in and said, this is where we're going to go. You know, who do we want to play? We want to play Texas. They're the number 1 team in the country. We want a shot at the brass ring. And that whole experience was very different for us. You know, like at home games at Notre Dame, we stayed over at St. Joe and looked out our windows and listened to everybody having a good time, and we just sat in our little rooms over there getting ready to play. But it was something that was very unique for us, and it was great to be a part of the history of the university, to be able to go back after so many years and not just play in a bowl game, but to be able to win one.
Joe, thanks for your time. You're the best, and as you well know, we'll stay in touch. Chris and I want to thank you for doing this. But right now, Bookstore basketball just wrapped up. Just out there. Let's go out there, Justine. Let's go, Justine. Get it done.
Let's go.
Who won?
Hey, that's right. That Bookstore basketball championship just wrapped up. We had Finnegan's and Holy Cross in the final. Finnegan's walking away with the win tonight. This is Pat. He was on the winning team. And Holy Cross, they came into this game with 3 championships under this belt. So how did you win tonight? What was key for you guys?
Well, we knew it was going to be a tough battle. 3-time defending champs. They've been here before. So we knew it was going to go down to the end, and it did. And I think what really put us over the edge was our defense. You know, we had Brian Spawn, the Burn Dog, and Connor Colpoys on their two best guards, and they really locked them down, especially down the stretch. So I think that was key to our victory.
And we were 15 neck and neck for quite a bit of that game, 14 and 14, 15 and 15. Then we finally got over the hump. What was key for you there?
Yeah, I think it was just the intensity, the continued effort on defense, and just getting on the glass. I think we really wanted it more than them. They've been here, they've won it 3 times. We haven't won it yet, so we wanted to dethrone them, and we wanted this title. So I think we just outworked them.
Thanks, Pat. And we're actually going to head back to the Social Media Lounge Bookstore Basketball Championships right here.
Thanks again so much. We're back here in the Social Media Lounge giving you an update on how the $1 million Challenge Fund competition is going. As you can see, over 5,600 gifts have been made so far. That's only in the first 3 hours or so. A huge thank you to everyone in the Notre Dame family who made a gift and voted. The time is now to go into your groups, go into your networks, your families, your friends, get them on board with the same causes that you feel so positively about. To break down the leaderboard for you, much hasn't changed at the top. Ultimate Frisbee, the Glee Club, Sacred Music, St. Ed's Hall. I want to point your attention to the Alumni Association and all the Notre Dame Club scholarships that are eligible for votes. One's in your hometown. They're a way to get your hometown residents a chance to live that Notre Dame experience. It is neck and neck right now between the Notre Dame Club of Miami and the Notre Dame Club of Orange County. Each one of them, if the contest ended right now, they would have over $5,000 for their scholarship fund. So you can really make a difference for people in your local community by identifying your local club and choosing to cast votes for them on Notre Dame Day. Now I'm going to introduce to you guys, remember her from last year, Mickey Kidder, Associate Vice President of Development here at the university. She's going to take us through the rest of the social media world. Nikki?
All right, Jonathan, thanks so much for that introduction. Welcome, members of the Notre Dame family. I tell you, the enthusiasm here at La Fortune is contagious, and we think that is the same around the globe as we monitor social media. 2 highlights of that last hour for me. How about those guys from Alumni? You can feel their energy. Also, what a great interview between 2 terrific parents. On that, you heard John Bon Jovi. And speaking of John Bon Jovi, you may remember the photo poll from last hour. Unfortunately, we could not claim a winner on the favorite Bon Jovi song that all of you in the Notre Dame family were voting for. It's neck and neck, tied 50-50. So we're going to relaunch that photo poll later in the broadcast. For this hour, though, we have a new photo poll. Watch for live results as a reminder on ndday.nd.edu. But first of all, vote for your favorite Golden Tate moment. Was it the Hail Mary against Washington State University, or, my friends, the Swan Dive against Michigan State? Log on NotreDame.nd.edu. Vote for your favorite Golden Tate moment. All right, let's step back here and let's see what's trending on social media now. You can see here lots of good ribbing going on. I like that. So as I mentioned, the guys from Alumni Hall were just here. One of the funniest things I saw on here a few moments ago was to vote for the humble men of Dillon Hall. So that's one of the things trending on NotreDameDay.nd.edu right here. We've also got some exciting things. People are loving the interaction between John Bon Jovi. We've got interaction with Joe Theismann here that is very much trending. A lot of competition between, as Jonathan mentioned, the Notre Dame clubs all around the globe. It's contagious, it's energetic. We're seeing lots of retweets about the leaderboard highlighting the Ultimate Frisbee Club, the Glee Club. But don't forget, if you're one of those clubs, student groups, residence halls, that is a little bit lower on the leaderboard, mobilize your groups. Get out there on social media. I tell you, friends, last year we saw it. It gets those votes up there. So let's see the activity here on social media. Speaking of that, let's take a moment, just a real quick look at the map. As you can see, we've got a lot of East Coast and Midwestern activity. Heading into the Sunday evening, let's get those West Coast members of the Notre Dame family up and running. We know you're out there, California. Get on and vote today. All right, now tune in as a reminder at the top of the hour to continue our live broadcast.